Scott, if another president of any party, frankly, had hosted a massive Great Gatsby themed party at his private club in the middle of a government shutdown that is poised to be the longest ever, while millions of Americans are worried about whether they're going to get food on the table this month.
Yeah, look, I don't know what the connection is between the president's schedule at Mar-a-Lago and the Democrats continuously voting to keep the government shut down in Washington, but I guess I'll indulge the framing. I mean, the bottom line is the Democrats have voted 13 times to keep the government closed. The Republicans, led by Donald Trump, have repeatedly called for the government to be open. If you want to fund SNAP, you can walk in there tonight and vote for the continuing resolution that they have decided not to vote for 13 times. You can try to pin it on Trump, but the bottom line is the Republicans have had a clean point of view here from the beginning, and it's the Democrats who have held the government hostage, including SNAP beneficiaries, for some reason, and that's why we are where we are.
But that sounds...
Well, guess what? 9 months later, people are still talking about groceries. They're still talking about gas.
They're not talking about gas. Gas is at a 4-year low.
It depends on what part of the country you're in. But
Yeah,
they're
in
talking
California,
about...
it's really high, but everywhere else.
But they are also talking about eggs. They are talking about the
low.
cost. Eggs are not low.
Eggs are low.
Have you been to a grocery store around here?
His
Eggs are
Rolex
low.
probably.
I mean, eggs are not low.
I'm going to fact
sorry.
check you after the show, and you're going to be surprised.
$8.99 for
Totally
eggs
false.
is not low. But what I'm saying
get
is,
ready for the
eggs are,
Scott,
You know, it's a nice thing when you get to see gas prices going down. $2.27. That's a beautiful thing, folks. Can't beat that. $2.27 a gallon. Appreciate you, Donald Trump. Thank you very much, sir. Can't say that about Obama, sorry ass.
To be honest with you, the country is moving towards Trump. I mean, these polls that come out and show him not doing well, I don't buy that. I think his strength is still greater than the Democratic strength. He is a stronger public figure than the Democratic people. I mean, Obama still has tremendous charisma, but Trump has strength. And I think that's what all voters look for. But they wanted a president who is a strong figure. And he's got it. And he can, it's just there. And half the country buys it. That's what I think.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talk Zucchini here today. And at the time of me recording this video, election night is going on right now. We're seeing polls. We're seeing all this stuff. It looks like Jane Jones is leading in the attorney general race, which I find concerning. But, hey, I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to politics like that. And end of the day, we'll see. You know, the night's still young. I'm recording this at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll see. A lot can change in a couple hours. But I want to talk about the SNAP stuff. As you saw from the intro, at the end of the day, no matter what happens on Tuesday, you know, at the time of me releasing this video, it's going to be Wednesday. This is not going to influence what's going on in the government. The government, for the 14th time, failed to reopen today, making it the longest government shutdown in history. And Democrats are continuously trying to make this argument, and it's not sticking. In my honest opinion, it's not sticking. Yes, majority of Americans blame Congress as a whole. Republicans are taking a hit politically. Democrats are taking a hit politically. But these shutdowns are affecting Democrats more because Democrats are coming across more unreasonable. And this meme perfectly encapsulates how I believe many Americans, as time goes on, starts to realize about the Democratic Party. And I want to show you this segment here of Democrats realizing what other Democrats are doing and kind of circle back to Scott Jennings and talking about this attempt of them trying to use, oh, look, Scott Jennings, your state of Kentucky, is their SNAP users going to lose $100,000, whatever the amount is. But this is the guilt trip that Democrats try to play, but at the same breath, they have it's within their power to do something about it, but they choose not to do something about it because end of the day, this is political leverage. And the fact that Trump decided, no, I'm not going to refund or take funds from one thing just to make up for the SNAPs losing revenue, they're trying to say, oh, look, Trump took away the SNAP benefits. The federal courts ordered Trump to refund SNAP or fund SNAP. But they say if he can, if he will. First, in the sentence, we require Trump to do this by Wednesday, if he can. So you still giving Trump the choice of whether to do it or not, and Trump doesn't even know constitutionally can he even do that. But all these questions, we're supposed to listen what federal judges go. Yeah, okay. I forgot who voted for Who voted for these judges to decide what goes or what doesn't go? And this is the funny part. And this is what conservatives have been saying. Because if the court judges can force Donald Trump to fund SNAP, couldn't theoretically the judges can also force Democrats to vote for the CR because of irreparable damage to the people? It's affecting the people. Make it make sense. But, these federal court judges, they seem to only, for the most part, judge it one way, the Democrats' way. But I digress. I think I went on a long-winded intro. I want you guys to check out these little these segments, and then we'll wrap up. We'll go into the meat and potatoes of a certain video to really hone in on why the Democrat line isn't sticking. Let's take a look.
The entire reason the government is not open right now is because Democrats refuse to be complicit in having millions of Americans, including 100,000 in Kentucky, your home state, if I'm remembering correctly, Scott, that rely on ACA, that would see their premiums rise several
which you can
dozen
deal with
percent.
separately. It doesn't have to be, those two things do not go together.
But the way that they're doing this right now, they're combining both.
Voting to support the budget still doesn't, if you keeping it closed doesn't fix the ACA. The ACA needs to be reformed. Healthcare needs to be reformed. This is a way bigger question.
You guys failed at that last time. The whole thing was repeal and replace.
Question.
You had a trifecta. You tried this. You failed.
Yeah, that's
so
not
did
true.
you.
They're still in the concept of a plan stage.
No, in terms
they've
of
been in
repealing
the
and
concept
replacing.
stage since 2000.
But David, you would admit that the ACA was a Democrat legislation, yes? And you would admit that the subsidies that we're talking about now were passed by Democrats, yes? And you would admit that the sunset provision in the subsidies, which comes up at the end of the year, was in place because of Democrats, yes? Now you want to make it a Republican problem. These are not the same issues. You could open the government today, and then you could negotiate with with Republicans about ACA. So, and by the way, my suspicion is, and you know this, there are probably, and I know there are some House Republicans that would love to negotiate on it, but under duress, under a hostage-taking situation, connecting disconnected issues, and now you're throwing SNAP onto it, you're throwing all the federal workers who aren't being paid onto it, all because of this fight that you wandered into because of your wing of the Democratic Party. You all led to this SNAP crisis. You all led to this crisis of the government being closed, and you don't know how to get out of it.
R.I.P. to David Hogg. Scott Jennings got him. Scott Jennings got him. An emergency on the Democrats' part. Wait, sorry. An error on the Democrats' part doesn't warrant an emergency on the Republicans' part. You created the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. Did it make healthcare more affordable? Hell no. Premiums still rose drastically after Obamacare. I can repeat the same lines over and over again. It's because of the fact that Medicare undercuts, right? They always pay cheap. That healthcare people lose, the healthcare companies and insurances, they lose money when they treat Medicare patients. So they pass that cost on to private citizens with private insurance. And that's why premiums for private insurance are up. You created a bad incentive. Typical Democratic policy, right? You create bad incentives and it creates bad outcomes and you don't want to take accountability for it. Usual Democrats, right? They're the ones holding up the bill. They're the ones holding up funding for the government because they're not getting their way. And now they're trying to make it Republicans' fault. Gaslighting 101. It's like dating a narcissist. And every time you call them out on their BS, they somehow try to spin it and say it was your fault the whole time. And then Democrats will get mad at me in my comment section talking about how, oh, Kenny, it's unfair to say that the Democrats are a self-centered, narcissistic party. Look how you guys operate. You don't want to take accountability for nothing. And there's certain Democrats, right? I call them the Bill Maher Democrats, the old school Democrats, the blue dog Democrats, Democrats that would vote for 2008 Obama, not a 2012 Obama. They're starting to realize, damn, Democrats, y'all you guys think this is a game, huh? Because if you saw the timeline that Scott Jennings just finished outlining to you, Democrats created ACA, which was supposed to make healthcare affordable. Didn't do that. Okay, failed policy. Then they create subsidies for these healthcare organizations to make costs cheaper, right? To subsidize costs for Medicare people and private insurances and all that stuff, all that jazz, right? The very problem they helped create with the ACA, they want to double dip. So they create the problem, then they present a solution that happens to bail out a lot of their states when they have illegals on their welfare programs. Okay, for the Medicare programs, my bad, at a state level. Not a federal level, at a state level. It's just they make sure that the federal level refunds them their money. That's all they do, okay? Then they put a time limit on it where the timing always seems to land around election season. What a coincidence, right? And this is what a lot of Democrats are starting to notice about the Democratic Party.
I cannot tell you how refreshing it was to wake up this morning and hear from other Democrats and see on my post other Democrats who are just as furious and ready to friggin' jump ship as I am. I am not buying into what they're selling, because after what we saw yesterday, I'm actually glad that they pulled that yesterday, because people like me who have been disillusioned by the Democratic Party for a long time got to see an evilness there, got to see a diabolical side of the Democratic Party who's basically saying, we want you to fail. We don't care if you fail. It's like the scene in The Wizard of Oz when they finally go back to see the great Oz and they pull the curtain back and it's just a little old man just standing there like that doesn't have a fucking clue. I'm not going to be afraid to voice my opinion anymore. I'm done. I am done. I am done. And you're not going to bully me off my own page by thinking logical thoughts. I'm not going to be gaslit by my own party. Not one day more. Not one day more.
And I don't know how the election is going to turn out, guys. Remember, I'm watching this. I'm doing this. I'm recording as these elections are closing up. The polls are closing up. And I'm just thinking to myself, given what we see, there's Mandami clips out there clarifying that he's not trying to give free groceries. He's trying to make cheaper groceries, which still ain't going to make groceries cheaper. You're going to have shortages, but whatever. It's still the same effect. But the Democrats, I believe, has miscalculated their narrative here. I don't think a lot of Americans are buying what they're trying to sell. And you're going to see Scott Jennings, because Scott Jennings was on a roll on this show. This, I don't know when they filmed this, when they actually did this. This probably was sometime late in the night or something, leading up to the election night. But I think it's worth mentioning here that them using Snap as leverage, right? You're crying so much about how cruel Donald Trump is, but you have the ability to literally take Trump off the decision-making on whether or not Snap gets funded or not by actually opening up the government by voting for the CR, and you choose not to do it. How can you explain that away? You can't. You can't. No rational person. No, and that's why I led in with the intro. You saw the segment with the Democrat there. She's like, you're not going to gaslight me. You're not going to bully me on my own page. And this is the tactics that the left try to do. Desperate tactics like this, because they know they can't make a logical argument for it. Your argument is Democrats want more stuff added to the CR, and therefore we're going to hold up the entire world and the government. We're going to affect Americans across the nation until we get our way. That's essentially what the Democrat Party has done in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, I voted against the CR because the CR wasn't going to take care of people's health insurance. Health care was going to go up. I didn't vote for that CR. Scott might remember, Republicans didn't vote for the CR previously, the same CR in different years. In fact, Republicans removed a Speaker of the House. We forget about that, because he put a CR on the floor. But
you did vote against the SNAP benefits, then you.
I did not vote against the SNAP.
If you had voted
benefits.
for the CR, would we have SNAP right now?
Scott, what I voted for was a CR that was going to see people in Florida have their health insurance go up almost 100%.
No, these are separate issues.
No, I got 25,000 people in my district that are going to lose their health insurance because this CR didn't have.
And how many do you have going to lose their SNAP?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about SNAP for a second. Why did the Republicans?
Let's break it down logically. Okay, if we this is the Democrats' bargain, right? Let me try to rationalize this with my thought process. So you're telling me, Jared, that you rather they suffer now than suffer later, right? And you still have room to negotiate because from what I understand, these things don't expire until the end of the year, right? So instead of delaying the ramifications, you rather them face it right now by playing this game, right? And someone put a meme on there, and I think the meme is funny. They're saying no one can get paid, no one gets their benefits until we take care of the illegals first. Essentially is what the Democrats are trying to tell us for their own political gain. And I think this is even though I believe he's one of the good Democrats, right? He's trying to make his case, he's trying to do all this, but you're making Americans suffer now for something that you could delay the effects down the road by negotiating while the government's being funded. Nothing they're talking about right here. This is why I'm trying to land the plane here. Nothing that they're trying to talk about here is immediate. It's so dire that you need to shut down the government to resolve it. That's the point. And I think this is the miscalculation that they have done, and now they can't get themselves out of it. Now that's why they're trying to throw the blame around. They're trying to pin it on Trump, because if you look at the domino effect, who pushed the first domino? Democrats not voting for the CR. As much as they want to blame Trump, who's the first mover? Who started the entire interaction? Who started the entire chain reaction that led us to the longest shutdown in American history? Say it with me, Democrats. It's impossible to lay blame on Donald Trump when Donald Trump is merely reacting to what you started. Donald Trump is not the leader of the Democratic Party, right? So how are you blaming Donald Trump? I can understand if Donald Trump told the Republicans not to vote for the CR and the government shut down, then it's easier to blame Trump for that. But if his opposition was the one that put him in that position in the first place, right? You threw the layup, you threw an alley-oop, and Donald Trump is like, okay, and he dunks it. Don't get mad at him for doing, like, yo, I'm trying to score. You put me in this position. You put me in the position where I can decide if SNAP gets funded or not. You put me in the position where essentially I can determine what's essential and what's not essential, given my role as the president of the United States of America. I didn't put myself there. Trump is not a king, as much as the left imagines him to be. Trump is not a king. But Democrats help him act like one. Make it make sense. You want to blame Donald Trump, but Donald Trump didn't put himself in that position. Y'all put him there. And that's the kind of accountability that the Democrats can't run away from. I digress. Let's continue with the video.
Send $40 billion to Argentina. Where is that money, Scott? Why didn't that go to Americans? Why? That's America first.
It's a credit
that's
swap.
America. That's
America. Profit on
That's
that.
America first. We're sending money to Argentina rather than taking care of people's
swap.
SNAP benefits. I would have loved to have been at Mar-a-Lago while the girls were in the martini glasses when they were trying to figure out what to do with the judge's order. You know, half the room was probably like, should we pay it? Should we not pay it? And then someone was like, oh, I have a great idea. Let the subjects only get half their rations. I mean, they're only going to give half the SNAP benefits to these people.
How many have the Democrats
Scott.
voted to give?
Scott,
Zero.
look at the polling.
Democrats have repeatedly voted to give zero of SNAP benefits. I'm sorry, this is not. This whole thing could have been averted if Democrats had done what they did in March, which is vote for Joe Biden's budget levels. They have refused to do it. A couple of Democrats in the Senate, like John Fetterman, have shown some courage and backbone. But the bottom line is this party is enthralled to the radical left. That's why they've changed their position from March until now. And that's why people are not getting their SNAP benefits. It's why federal law enforcement isn't being paid. It's why Trump.
How is the Democrats going to fight that narrative? How?
Trump's having to scramble to pay the military. This is a Democratic shutdown because of political fear.
What happened to the mandate?
Like, I don't understand. What happened to the mandate? We're tired of your complaining, Democrats. You can fix all of this without appealing to Trump, without saying nothing to the guy. All you have to do is be like, hey, 7 Democrats, vote with Republicans, open the government. Kada bing, kada boom, you're done. You're done. Done. That's all you have to do. That's all you need to do. You don't need to talk to Trump. Y'all need to, hey, it's a clean CR, no poison pill, because your excuse is, hey, there's some poison pills in there. People ask you, okay, Democrats, you said there's a poison pill in the CR. Can you explain that? I feel like you're trying to shift blame to the Democrat. So you got nothing. So you got nothing. The poison pill is it don't have anything we want in it. Right? And I already told you about the game. The CR's clean. Democrats going to be like, we want to add this provision into the CR. Republicans are going to be like, well, there's nothing to really negotiate here. And if Republicans play along, they're going to be like, okay, we want to add this into the CR. Then the Democrats going to run to the media and say, look, oh my God, Republicans are holding up the government because they need these things in the CR. And the political game starts all over again. So Republicans, seeing what the Democrats are trying to do, they're just like, look, there's nothing to negotiate here. Just vote for the damn thing. We'll have the debate as the CR is finalized, its final phases of funding at the end of the year. Democrats like, no, we need to have this conversation right now. And this is what John Fetterman, a swing state senator, by the way, who's constantly voting for the CR. Fetterman, if Democrats was logical and smart, they will follow his lead on this. like I told you, as much as people want to call me biased and all this stuff, I'm trying to be as objective as I can based as an American. Fetterman is your guy. Fetterman is the leadership that the Democrats need right now to actually have a chance in 2026 and 2028. Because he appeals more to the middle, while Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are held hostage by New Yorkers that might be, at the time of me releasing this video, already possibly have voted for Mandami. Possibly. 92% chance according to poly markets, according to betting markets. There's a dude somewhere betting $2.8 million that Mandami's going to win. Craziness. Right? Two leaders of the Democratic Party from the Senate, Chuck Schumer, and from the House, Hakeem Jeffries, both from New York, held hostage by the far left because their political future might be at risk 2026. That's why they're doing this. And even then, the polls still show that Democrats still come across woke and weak. You know who doesn't come across quite woke, quite weak? Fetterman, in my honest opinion, as a center-right person. I digress. Let's take a look at what Fetterman has to say.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's not so much as of a blame. I think it's more about what's driving it and who's driving it and who is withholding their votes and are about opening or keeping our government closed. I've been a part of one of three, as you pointed out, and that means we need 5 more. So for me, that's where we are. And I agree that it's a bad idea to shut our government down. It was wrong if the Republicans would do this as they've done, and it's wrong now as we are doing it this right now. So for me, that is a country over party situation. And now 42 million Americans now are in food insecurity, and all of the unions that are being directly hit by this, and they all have been calling this needs to end. And that's where I'm at.
And the funny part is, Joe Manchin had an interview with Jon Stewart, and he called this out. He's saying, look, there's a reason why the union workers are going to Trump. There's a reason for that. People are seeing through the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is coming across self-centered. The Democratic Party can't move away from that branding. The self-centered, narcissistic party. That's the branding. That's my personal branding of the Democratic Party. And many of you guys in the comment section, you agree with that. You guys, y'all tell me, Kenny, that was perfectly said. Self-centeredness to the point of narcissism. A lot of Americans agree with that sentiment about the Democratic Party. If I had to put a poll in my honors, if I was a pollster, I think one of the polls that I'll reference or try to get data on is who is the most reasonable party, Republicans or Democrats? We all believe, I think you got a good chance of guessing correctly, Republicans are the more reasonable party. Look at the narratives Republicans are putting out and look at the story Democrats are putting out. The only Democrat that's making sense about the shutdown is John Fetterman and maybe 2 other Democrats who we don't know. But John Fetterman's the one with the name recognition. He's going against his own party hostage situation with the wokies from their side of the aisle. With leadership. John Fetterman's doing that. Because he represents a swing state and he knows what it takes to win a swing state. Because last time I checked, Democrats didn't win a single swing state 2024. So let's think about this logically, and I'll wrap up with my final thoughts. Let's think about this logically. If you're a political party that finished losing all the swing states, would you listen to a Democrat from a deep blue city, or would you listen to a Democrat from a swing state? I'll wait. So John Fetterman, Democrat from swing state, he's telling you shutdown's a bad idea. But you from New York, deep blue state, because you're looking out for your own political interest. Self-centered politics. That is the brand of the Democratic Party. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my sentiments here in the channel below. You guys are free to voice your opinion, but I already voiced mine. Now it's time to hear yours. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me on our algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.